Dan the Beast Severn, a man who's conquered both pro wrestling and mixed martial arts.
I don't know if you can say you really ever conquered those blue worlds. They continue on. I just have, everyone gets their day in the sun, that's all.
Right. Well, tell us first about let's go chronologically. You grew up in Michigan, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Michigan. That's where I started my amateur wrestling career many moons ago in 1969.
And you went to Arizona State, and you wrestled collegiately there, right?
I wrestled at Arizona State, and then I ended up coaching at Arizona State, then coaching at Michigan State, Michigan Wrestling Club. I've been teaching the sport of wrestling since 1971. I won my first national title in 72, so I've been involved in the industry for a long time.
Now, what came first for you, getting into the mixed martial arts? Whatever's first, basically, after wrestling.
No, actually, professional wrestling. As of the 1992 Olympics, a new rule came down from the United States Olympic Committee that allowed athletes to be both amateur and professional simultaneously, as long as you were not involved in any collegiate athletics or high school athletics. You'd still be governed by High School Athletic Association or the NCAA rules. Well, I was well past my collegiate eligibility, so I could have my cake and eat it too. My ultimate goal was always wanting to make an Olympic wrestling team, is what I wanted to do. And so now I had the opportunity of being a professional wrestler. I was approached by a number of different independent professional wrestling companies into the mid-'80s. Well, then like I said, as of 92, I had my the green light came on. I started doing that. By 1994, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, or the no-holds-barred era, started, and I jumped into both and had a dual career.
You were technically a MMA champion and a pro wrestling champion at the same time.
Yes, they keep talking about how Brock Lesnar was the first person to hold both belts. I go, no, I was doing it almost 20 years before him.
And you were doing it like in I don't want to say the wild and lawless days of UFC, but I think people have to understand that it did not have the acceptance that it does now.
What people watch now is known as mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts has approximately 37 rules. Part of those 37 rules, there's weight classes, time periods, athletes wear gloves, and they fight one opponent in a given evening. Back to that Wild West era, also known as NHB, no holds barred, the athletes had 2 rules to abide by. Do not bite your opponent, do not stick fingers in their eye sockets. End of the rules. And I go, let your imagination go wild, end of the rules. Anything else you could possibly think of, you're good to go, and it was conducted. And it was no weight classes, no time period, bare-knuckled action, and they had the element of the 8-man tournament where in the same 2-hour pay-per-view that still exists today, you had to defeat 3 opponents in a given evening, and these 3 belts back here represents the only Triple Crown championship ever earned in the UFC's no-holds-barred era, and since now it's illegal to do, I'm it.
Yes. You got in before the law put its foot down.
But the ironic part, though, is I was with it as it was transitioning. The unified rules just did not start on up. When the UFC or the industry was first starting to implement its rules, I was traveling all over the country, all over the world. I would be in certain states, and I would be in the middle of the match, and I'd have to stop myself, and I'd have to look up at the referee and go, hey, ref, am I allowed to? I'm asking if I'm allowed to do this. I'm actually tipping my hand to my opponent when I'm about to do to him, but, it's just one of those kinds of, the mixed martial arts industry is one of those types of industry that 'tis better to give than to receive. When you're losing that sport, you're taking physical damage in the process.
You had a legendary, I could say personally, one of my first introductions to MMA was you and Ken Shamrock, so some memorable contests. Do you still keep in contact with him? Are you guys, like, I hate to say friends or something like that, or is it not really
Well,
good?
the ironic part, we never had this much conversation. I think it was the Ultimate Fighting Championship that they're the ones that first kind of was stirring the pot of this rivalry of, Shamrock versus Severn, and I kept thinking, they always say how we dislike each other. I go, you have to know someone a little bit first to render an opinion whether you like them or dislike them. I go say, I don't know the guy enough. It's not like when we were doing our matches, I'm like, hey Ken, how's the wife and kids? Bam, and no, they're doing good there. I am. No, we weren't conducting any kind of conversation. So a lot of that was just brought up by either management, but then at the same token, even your more modern day mixed martial artists, they understand the appeal of that crossover. If you're a mixed martial artist and you have good Mike Skills, Chael Sonnen, a perfect example. When he used to be just himself, he didn't make the money, he didn't get the matches. But when he took on this persona, and he was doing the trash talk and got some good little limericks going like the great Muhammad Ali, he got the matches, he made the money.
Wow. You're NWA heavyweight champion. You beat Chris Candido, as I recall.
Yep, that belt still lies right there on the table, yes.
Just speak briefly about the time that they did the invasion, the NWA did the invasion angle into then WWF and your time there.
Well, I mean, there's not really much to say with that because they had a great opportunity and they dropped the ball. They had a great opportunity with Dan Severn and they dropped the ball. Jim Cornette was batting. He was batting for me. Ironically, it was like a number of years later, I'm having dinner with Bill Goldberg and a few other people. And through the conversation, getting to know each other, he reached over and he bumps my shoulder. He goes, "Thanks." I go, "For what?" He goes, "Dude," he goes, "I was you." He said, "I watched you in your cage matches, man." He goes, "You were incredible." He says, "I just mimicked what you did." He goes, "I went out there, I did this crazy look, I put my hands up in the air." He goes, "I made a lot of money being you." And I kept thinking that was awfully cool of him to admit something like that. So it just, I was ahead of my time at that time, where I always tell people that my matches in the world of mixed martial arts, UFC, I made thousands of dollars. If I was in that same industry today, I would have been making millions of dollars. But it gives any professional athlete, regardless of sport, especially since Canada's such a strong hockey country right now, go back 20 years. What did a hockey player make 20 years ago as a profession, and what do they make now? It's worlds apart. It's just that the better deals with syndications, better deals on getting video net out to different markets.
I want just one more thing in the WWF where, again, MMA kind of crossed lines with wrestling, the Brawl for All tournament, which you had. And correct me if I'm wrong, you never lost. You had one match in that. You won, and that was it.
But the funny part, though, was when that was first being conceived, they brought all the talent together and they said, "We got this thing we're going to do. It's called this Brawl for All. 3 1-minute rounds with these, 16 or 18-ounce gloves. And the only 2 people that are not going to be allowed into it is Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn." After they said that, I left the meeting. Well, it went on for several weeks. Then all of a sudden, I'm laying back, just taking a nap, and one of the road agents comes up to me and he says, "Hey Dan, how would you like to be in a Brawl for All tonight?" I go, "How much and against who?" I go, "Done." And then, but the thing is, I did not want to wear gloves.
Okay.
I actually wanted to go out there without wearing gloves. And to show them, all the people in the WWF and the world what a real wrestler can do without ever, I said, "I will never throw a single strike. And I will dismantle whoever you give me." And I basically did it wearing a pair of 18 or 20-ounce gloves in the process, but it was really a lackluster because it's hard with boxing gloves on to be able to grip and things of that nature.
So, where you stand right now, just tell us to wrap up, because you got people who want to talk to you. What black belt degrees and belts do you hold right now?
Well, I mean, in the martial arts world, I have black belts in judo, jiu-jitsu, and sambo. Sambo is a very aggressive Russian form of judo. Is what it is. And again, but all my belts have been secured through the world of competition. Traditionally, you would study an art, you would demonstrate your knowledge of it, and then you move up through your levels. Mine was all just by trial, by error. I went to Sambo Nationals. I simply just weighed in, jumped in, competed, and won the national title. And they're like, "Oh, you just can't do that," but I did. So that's what I did in this world. When it comes to strictly belts alone, the world record when I first started was 7 title belts in the world of pugilistic arts, the combat arts. You'll see one picture down there shows world record holder at 13 championship belts. That's an old photo. The new record is 21, and it's still me. So I pushed the bar up pretty high, knowing that it was 7 before. I almost doubled it there with 13, and now the new record is 21. Eventually I'll make up some newer pictures, but the thing is the fact that I'm still on the go almost every weekend doing something and living the life that I preach all the time. So I can't complain whatsoever. If I was to complain, the only person I have the fault is myself. We live in a world today that you have the world at your fingertips.
Literally, yeah.
And if you want to sit there and complain about what you're not doing, get online, make a difference. You have no one to blame but yourself. And that's part of the problem that we have, not only in the United States, across the world. Too many people are what I call, they're in the pity party. Make a difference. No, but I'm not big on government.
Okay, well, I'm not going to interrupt with you because A, I agree with you, and B, if I didn't, I wouldn't have the guts to admit. I guess one more thing I thought of.
Yeah.
You're aware of CM Punk, Phil Brooks, the pro wrestler,
Yeah.
who has gone to MMA.
Yes.
I mean, without really knowing too much about how he's training, I guess he's in a good camp with Anthony Pettis. What do you think his chances are, not so much of like winning a title, but just of being a competitive person in the octagon?
Whatever I say right now is pure speculation. I would hope that someone who is making those claims, they actually have some substance to back it up with. I've been asked that question a great deal. I can't tell you one way. I don't even think I've ever met him before. But if you're going to make those claims, hopefully you have skills that will back you on up. Because someone's going to hold you accountable somewhere down the road for it.
All right, Dan Severn, thank you very much. Pleasure, honor meeting you.
Thank you.